Once guess. Oh, it's live right now. It's very fast. Okay. Hi guys, this is Dr. Nancy Lee. I teach negotiation influence to help engineers and international professionals get control of their life and their career. And today we're doing live interview of our behind the scenes series. And we had the pleasure to have Anne Cocquyt in this interview. Hey, hi Anne, how's it going? I'm doing very well. So Anne right now is in San Francisco, and thank you very much for finding the time to meet all the audience today. Awesome. All right, just quick introduction for Anne. Anne is currently the CEO of Guild. It's a very big women's network. It's a membership-based network that Anne has built 3 years ago. And Anne, interestingly, herself has lived in 4 different kind of continents. As we are speaking, she has also moved from originally from IT career and all the way now building her very rich network. And now she's starting this woman network business. And during the entire past, she was also a serial entrepreneur. She sold another company, and maybe you can ask her to tell more about this. And Guild is her latest journey. So Anne, as we're talking about your very brief here on the live stream, hold on. Oh, Anne, something's wrong. So they cannot hear you on the live stream at all. The audience, hold on, my fiance is testing. Can you, as this, maybe we change the headset? Is better? Can you, yeah, I think he's testing right now.
Yeah, I can't hear.
No, we cannot hear you.
I think it might be because it's going to be your earphones.
Oh. So it's not, one sec, sorry, let me see. Hey guys, we do technical difficulties. Let's do this. So the mic is not going through. Yeah, I can hear you. I think your audio didn't pass through the systems. Sorry, let me quickly do some troubleshooting. Sound levels.
I can hear you fine, perfectly.
Okay, Anne, can you speak again?
Yeah, absolutely. Here I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
It's
20 seconds delay, so my fiance is in the back end testing. And maybe you can. Oh, let's continue talking. And as we're speaking, maybe you can introduce Guild and introduce your.
I can hear now.
You can hear her now. Okay, great. Sorry, it's 20-second delay, so we fixed the technology issue. Very good.
When I talk right now, you can hear me?
Yeah, the internet can hear you right now. Great. Okay, sorry. Let's start over. It's okay. We have 2 people watching us. we can cut the beginning. It's okay. So we just figure out the technology issue. Yeah, he can hear. You can hear Anne the whole time, right? Yeah, I think he can hear you.
Right?
Yeah, it was good. Okay, let's do that. Start over. I'm gonna cut the beginning. Okay. Hi guys, this is Dr. Nancy Lee. I teach negotiation and influence to help engineers and international professionals get control of their life and their career. And today is our behind the scenes interviews. It's my pleasure to have Anne Cocquyt to come with us to share her experience. And welcome, Anne.
Hi, Nancy. Hi, everybody. Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Hi, Anne. Awesome. Great to have you as well. So we know right now Anne is in San Francisco, so I have great pleasure to talk to you. Now I am in Boston. Just a brief introduction about who is Anne. And Anne is a serial entrepreneur, and she actually right now is the CEO of Guild. It's a very big women's network. And before this Guild startup, and Anne herself has moved and lived in 4 different kind of continents, starting her career from IT. Then she joined corporate America, then started to start her own company, and so sold her company as well. And Guild is her latest venture. And today we're very glad to have her to share with us the entire experience as an entrepreneur, and also somebody who built her very rich network from the ground. Thank you very much, Anne, for joining us.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. Yeah, so Anne, maybe you can start with telling us your experience because you mentioned that you lived in 4 different kind of continents. Can you share us more of 4 as a 4, how this impacted your life and why you're moving in multiple places?
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up in Germany in this tiny little village, and it's the
Mm-hmm. Oh. Mm-hmm.
Sound cut out again.
And so when I completed my studies in Tübingen at the elite University of Tübingen, I decided, you know what, I need to go very, very far away from here. And the furthest point from Germany is actually the other side of the world. It's Australia. So I figured, okay, let's go there and see what adventure awaits for me. So I went to Australia. I had a wonderful time there and traveled quite a bit. I worked there as well.
Did you move there for college or after college?
After college and after my MBA. Yeah, in
Wow.
Germany you do college and MBA in one big go, and at least you were at the time. And so then after that, I was like, okay, now I'm free. I have done everything that the world expects me to do. I have a degree, and I can do what I want to do.
Awesome. So why you choose Australia directly from Germany?
I know. I mean, one part was really, it was very exotic and far away. It was also a country that spoke where the language was English, and I spoke at the time at least a little bit.
We cannot tell. You start from a different language. Yeah.
Well, the Australian accent is to be underestimated, especially in the outback. So that was the first hurdle. But it was a fantastic time, and it was so fun to meet the Aussies and to dive into different kinds of jobs there as well. I did a job, work and travel kind of thing, and spent about a year in Australia doing different kinds of jobs in anywhere from being a park ranger in Kakadu National Park to baking pizza for people. Car detailing was a job I had for a few weeks. And
you had such an adventure in a new country, Anne.
Yeah. And I did all the things that I never did in Germany, and then at the end, I actually, they hired me for some IT work as well, which was really fun. And some data integration type of stuff in Melbourne.
Wow. Was your degree in technology at the time?
Yeah. Computer science and statistics and economics.
Wow, almost everything. That's I think that's how it leads to where you are as a CEO because you had experience in almost both business and the tech side.
Yeah, and when I returned to Europe afterwards, I went into consulting. So I did a lot of IT management consulting. It was the time when the big IT companies took over IT from Philips and Shell. The corporations said, you know what, we're really good at digging for oil, not so good at IT, and IT seems to be a big deal. So let's outsource. So I was on the outsourcing side of those deals, and that really pushed me into the business world very early on. And I was very young and the only woman in the room in many situations. So that was a fun experience.
Cool. And when did you move again to the maybe US or before US? Did you move somewhere else again?
Yeah, I left the consulting job and went for a big trip to South America to see what's there. And I was also doing projects for a nonprofit organization at the time. But then they called me back to England to do my own consulting company, basically, and be the program manager of a cross-functional team. That was the merger of T-Mobile and Orange, which is called Everything Everywhere. So those two IT companies merged, and I took over. And then when that project was done, I decided, you know what, America is calling. I need to check out the US. It was my best friend's wedding, and this was 8 years ago now. So then I came here. I traveled down Route 66, did all the stuff that Europeans and especially Germans think America is all about.
Yeah.
And had a fantastic time and met an old friend of mine who I had met on that round the world trip from years ago, and fell in love completely, head over heels in love, and got married and moved to San Francisco. And that's really what catapulted me into the tech world in San Francisco. And that was the point where I was like, oh my God, there's nobody here. I have no social capital.
Yeah.
There's no network, no people. Like, how am I going to do this? You know? So that's how I landed in San Francisco.
Yeah, actually, it's speaking to my heart because I also moved from China. It's still not 4 different continents, only the 2, half of yours. I did feel the same way when you move across the ocean. You have no network. You had to start from scratch. So can you tell us more regarding the challenges you have faced, and given you have moved in different places, and how did you conquer those challenges?
Yeah, I think one of the big challenges is that your network doesn't travel with you these days, right?
Exactly.
It's such a global world, and we're so connected, and we're always just a few hours away from another spot. But when it really comes down to relationship building and your network, you actually have to start from scratch in each one of those countries or cities. And I really felt the pain of that when I arrived here. Luckily, San Francisco, you have so many events, and you can go to all these networking events, and everybody puts a panel on each night. And so what I found myself doing is going to all these different events and making contacts and connecting with people and collecting business cards, and then following up on those business cards and connecting on LinkedIn, and really trying to find my new tribe and my new social network here. And that was really a time when I thought, you know what? I'm in the heart of technology here, and it should be easier, shouldn't it? Because why isn't there a technology out there that understands and scans me and then suggests who I should meet, right? Based on my skills and my interests and who I am from my past, but also because maybe I want to join a new industry and I have skills that are transferable from all my other jobs that I've done, right? Like, why don't we also meet and connect with people who are in our prospect list? And if you look at LinkedIn, for instance, it's all based on your past resume. And that's really limiting in a way to connect with new people. And that was one of the biggest challenges. And that's also one of the reasons why I started a ladies club. And then, a few years later, that led to me starting the guild.
Awesome. And actually, when you talk about the past that people see your historical experience, your resume, I totally can see that, because in the past, I believe when I got my PhD, that was in material science. And with just recruiters coming over and saying, hey, you should do some research world. I was like, I want to do something new. I want to do tech. And it's very hard for me to actually to do the transition. And of course, later on, I know how to use a network, use the new soft skills I built over the years to transition. But I do really believe that if there is a better systems and then put me into the new network, new systems, maybe my transition could be much faster.
Yeah.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And let me ask you this question. So right now, given you have built Guild, you must be an expert in networking. So do you have any specific advice regarding networking, and what did you learn, or any, especially for people like us who has to build something from scratch?
Yeah. So number one is, when you network, you need to listen most of the time, and don't think you spend 80% of your time selling yourself. And I see a lot of people make that mistake. So my rule of thumb is 70% you're listening, 20% you're telling your story, and 10% you're making your ask. And that's a really good formula for making good connections, because you need to learn what you can get out of these people, who the people are, what you can contribute to them, and then always come in with a give if you can. And you can, even when you're new to town, right? You have skills, you have knowledge, you can bring a different perspective from your country. or you have already been to a few events this week because you went networking like a crazy person. So maybe you met somebody who that other person you're just meeting might want to connect with as well. And that's how I became a super connector, because I went to all these different kinds of events, and then I thought like, oh, this guy in electric vehicles at the meetup in Sunnyvale would be a good connection to this lady who I just met at the data science meetup. And not a lot of people are networking cross-functionally.
Totally.
So I think that's a huge one to take into account as well. Yes, your industry networking is important, and if you're a lawyer, it's really good to have a good law network. But there's so much cross-pollination, and there's so many interesting people, and we're not in boxes anymore where we're just like engineer and that's all we do, right? We have so much background and interesting connections that we shouldn't discredit that, and also look into other areas. And that's also at the Guild. It's one of the beauties. We have women in tech, we have women in education, in healthcare, in law, in finance, accounting, in all these different areas. And it's so fun to connect and see how these connections then catalyze and amazing things happen when these meet across career barriers, but also across ages. Especially ages, I think, is a big one too.
Can you elaborate more? You're saying why cross ages is hard. I would imagine cross ages, like older people don't hang out with younger kids. Am I right?
Yeah, it's very true. The networks are very homogenous if you look at them. That means, you're usually hanging out with people who look like you and who think like you.
Yeah.
And great, and that makes you feel safe, and it's a good language hat. But, what if you want to create innovative products, or what if you want to think outside of the box? So you want to build great teams or companies. You really need to bring more diversity of thought, and background, and age, and gender, and race, and ethnicity, and education, and where you grew up, and economic background, and all those things.
Yeah, and I'm on your website right now. I can see that you actually speak at so many different events. And can you elaborate more regarding, you mentioned that 80% of the time you are listening, and given now you have become a very famous person because you're speaking as a keynote speakers all the time. So how did you transition from asking other questions 80% of the time and starting to bring lots of resources, have someone else who invite you to speak, or even invite you to ask you more questions? How did you make the transitions? Because I feel like 80-20 rules makes lots of sense, but it's hard to have another side of table to reciprocate.
Yeah, so being a speaker is not necessarily a networking relationship at the point when you're on stage, but it definitely before and after. And people come up to you before and after events, and they contribute to the points that you made. They ask you questions, they bring amazing discussions, and all that in the listening part of yourself becomes content for you then sharing that again with the world as a thought leader, right? So when I talk about diversity inclusion, it's such a huge topic for small companies, tech companies, startups, and larger companies. And each time I make points on stage, people come back to me afterwards and they say, oh, I really learned something awesome. And we also did this thing that really worked well. So we built this ERG group, and we had this calendar, and we spread the weight on 5 different shoulders for that group to build community within that company. And that worked really well. And then we did this event, and we brought somebody in. So I'm learning when I hear that, right? Yeah. And I think we have to keep learning if we want to stay relevant, especially when we're on the stages of the world. And I see a lot of people, also even journalists, not listen enough. And I believe also, the divide in the United States and maybe worldwide right now in terms of the opinions and the content that's out there and shared is partially because we don't listen enough. and because we're not trying to understand what the other person is trying to say or do.
Yeah.
And you know, you have to be a very empathetic leader in order to hear what is really at the core of the problem, and then to translate that into solutions and then to share them.
Yeah, totally. Did you build this kind of key concept of listening and networking in your guild program? Can you tell us more about guild?
Absolutely, yeah. So at the core of the guild, we connect you to one other person in the whole network globally, once a month. So that's where we started out, because we felt like women don't always put networking at the top of their priority and to-do list.
True.
It always drops down to the bottom, and when it's at the bottom, it falls off. And if we have connections and good people that we feel we want to, we can go to with our questions about the next business deal or the promotion that's up next.
Yeah.
Then we're just much weaker in our negotiating power and in our careers. So networking, I felt, is really important for women. But we don't have the country club or the golf club or the pub where we usually go and hang out and network. So we need a different kind of networking. And that's why I started the guild, and I thought, you know, maybe technology can help us really make smart connections, one-on-one. People who are like, you know, you in Boston, me here in San Francisco, we're also in Boston, you know, like we also make one-on-one introductions where we say, why don't you go down to the coffee shop on 5th Street and meet there with the other person. So that's where we started out. And now we have a new platform as well where you can share ideas, join groups, you can post about entrepreneurship and leadership and funding and self-care and all those topics that are really near and dear to the heart of our members. And we have a online course there as well for female entrepreneurs, specifically to learn more about startups and how to build companies. And we're filling in the gap there where we see a huge gap of women-funded startups. So we think providing resources through the network, through the one-on-one between investors, entrepreneurs, but also educational resources would be a really good resource, and it looks like people agree. So we have about 20,000 members in our network now, and growing, and starting out in Europe now as well. We're just having a launch event in Belgium. We open up some chapters in Southeast Asia. Really with the idea of making it much, much easier and simpler to connect online, but also offline.
Yeah, actually, I was about to ask you about the membership. You mentioned the 20,000 members already. That's pretty big achievement. So can you tell us more what kind of people are in those network, who they are?
Yeah, totally. We have about 30% that identify as female entrepreneurs. So that's anybody who has a small business or is a freelancer or has a startup.
Is it because you're in San Francisco, so there are more startup guys, women, girls join your network?
Exactly, but we also focus on startup hubs globally. So our global expansion is more focused on female entrepreneurs and business owners and investors. And here in the US, we also, 70% of our membership are women who are in corporate careers or startups, smaller businesses, and they want to transition in their careers. We have a lot of product managers and also, you know, female leaders, executives who are getting together in smaller circles. We engage them in different kinds of events as well. We have dinners or breakfasts and panel discussions and webinars and all kinds of good stuff. So the typical woman in the guild, she's ambitious, she's courageous, she wants a group and a tribe of people to have her back, and she's curious, she asks questions and gives back as well with the expertise that she has.
Awesome. Actually, I do like the way you describe your audience, and I believe there's lots of us, but women in general have lots of things on their plate, and sometimes they didn't have networking as their priorities was because it may not be as easy just to go out and network, or even if you go out networking, it's not the right people. So you facilitate the whole process to make it very valuable and also easy, I assume, through your network.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Great. So as we are towards the end of this interview, and let me ask you the final question. How can we get in touch with you?
Oh, you know, any kind of way you want to get in touch with me, through email, it's ANNE at letsguild.com. You can also go to my website, cocquyt.com, and connect with me there. There's so many different ways how you can book even a brainstorming session, or you can see if there's a speaking engagement where you'd like me to come in. You can book some time on my calendar, and yeah, feel free to reach out. I'm very approachable. I would love to hear your thoughts and your ideas, and if any of this resonated. I love feedback. I'm a huge proponent of user feedback and good UX. So please let me know if there's anything you would like to see in the guild, or have any ideas, or you want to start your own chapter somewhere in the world.
Yeah.
I would love to hear from you.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll definitely link your contact in the show notes. I also display your contact on the screen already. So in this case, let's say both men and women, maybe mainly like career-driven, curious women. If you're interested in growing your network, feel free to reach out to Anne and also visit her website, theguilded.org, the website, and also her contact is below. Feel free to email her to grow your network together. Okay, great. All right. Thank you, everybody. Today is also it's our first interview of the new year. Thank you very much. And feel free to leave us with any comment, any questions. And let's finally thank Anne Cocquyt to show us how she developed her network and also her entrepreneurial journey. All right. I will see you next time. Visit Dr. Nancy Li's YouTube channel and my Instagram at drnancyli. All right. See you guys. Thank you very much, Anne. Bye.
Thank you.
Cool. Bye. How to stop?